We do not want Tapoera to fight Makhachev next. Do you understand me? As fight fans, we do not want Tapoera to fight Makhachev next. Do you understand why? I'm in a tricky situation right now because if you've watched my last couple videos, I have led you to believe through, no fault of my own, through your assumptions, through your not being able to be objective. I've led you to believe that I'm an Ilia Topuria hater. I've led you to believe that because of how truthful I am. Sometimes when people hear the truth, they get their feelings hurt and they jump to conclusions. The other day I made a comment about my lady's cooking. And she thought that I didn't love her no more. I believe that's a good example. Some of you hear what I say in these videos and you jump to conclusions. And you think that I don't love Volkanovski anymore. Or you think I'm a fanboy. I've been a Volkanovski fan, but I've been saying things lately that make you think I'm a hater. I led you to believe I'm a hater because of my truth. I've been making people think that I'm both a hater and a fanboy of Oliveira, which is ironic because I'm on the fence with that fool. I used to be a big fanboy. I'm the one that predicted his rise and his reign. But then he got real cocky and he got all Gucci'd out and he got annoying and then I got off the train. I did predict that he would beat Topuria. And by the way, I stand by my prediction video. Everything in there holds true. The only variable in regard to the Brazilian zombie is that we found out that night Topuria is a zombie killer. That fool straight out of Resident Evil. And good for him. Straight out The Walking Dead. Good. Congratulations. Because I got to tell you something. And I'm in a tricky situation right now. Because I like Ilia Topuria. I like that fool. Did you see him on the JRE podcast? He's the Mr. Rogers of the MMA community. I like Topuria. But now I'm stuck in a tricky situation because everybody believes that I'm a hater because of the objective truths that I've been spitting, which I will reiterate right now. So I'm stuck in this place where either I keep going down that path and I don't clarify and I'm a Topuria hater, or, that fool shifted gears. He switched it up. He bought the shirt. He's a fanboy. He's sending DMs. I've been liking Topuria. But when I tell you that he hasn't fought a single person in their prime, I'm not hating. I'm just making an observation. You got me like John Jones right now. I can't do the right thing. If I vacate, you get mad at me. If I stay and I fight a boring fight and I just throw leg kicks and keep my distance and stick and move and beat Aspinall and expose him, you're also mad at me. I'm over the hill. I don't fight the same since USADA. Whatever you want. It's a lose-lose for me right now. By the way, did you hear that John Jones just stole DC's truck? Daniel Comed's truck? John Jones is on the loose again. Look it up. He literally stole Daniel Comed's truck. Daniel Comed barely bought a new truck like 4 days ago, and John Jones stole it from the airport. Look it up. Fool can't act right. You treating me like John Jones right now. I can't say the right thing. I'm like Bruce Lee. If I tell you that I'm dangerous, you'll say that I'm cocky. And if I say that I'm not, then you'll know I'm lying. What could I say right now? This is a tricky situation for Topuria as well. He's in quite the pickle. And I will reiterate for you. I'll make it as brief as I can. Topuria is a fantastic fighter. Very exciting to watch. But he's not what people are declaring that he is yet. And I was having a back and forth with a gentleman earlier today in my comment section. And he says, are you going to stop doubting him? If he beats Arman and Makhachev, are you going to give him respect? And I said, yeah, I promise. Of course. but he has not yet earned what people are trying to give to him. And this video was sponsored by my Patreon with new videos every weekday. For reals. He has fought Bryce Mitchell. Again, and I know you've been hearing me say this. I apologize for repeating myself. But there are new eyeballs to every video, and I gotta reiterate. Bryce Mitchell was 10-7'd by a case of diarrhea. Josh Emmett was 40 years old, and Topuria had to go to the decision. Josh Emmett never had a prime. Volkanovski just got his head beat in by Makhachev. Should not have been fighting that soon after. Max Holloway, that fool's got dog years on him. He's been in the UFC since he was 9 years old. It blows my beanie that people have been telling me in the comments lately, didn't you see the muscles that Max put on? Clearly he's in his prime. Didn't you see what he did to Gaethje? Clearly he's in his prime. To Gaethje, the human rock'em sock'em. Even when that lady, the low budget Laura Stanko, did you guys see that interview? They're doing a new podcast that's called What Happened Last Fight or something like that. Something like that. Funny thing happened last fight. I don't know. You've seen it. Look it up on YouTube. It's kind of cool, actually. There's a new YouTube with this dude. I don't know his name. You could tell they were trying to pick people that aren't too, like, they didn't want to do it with, like, Megan O'Leary in DC. They're trying to mix it up and put some different faces in there. But it was this one dude and the low-budget Laura Stanko, this other blonde lady. And she brought up Gaethje to Topuria, and he laughs. And what did he say? He said something like, excuse me? Or how did he say it? It was funny. But she basically brought up Gaethje. She says, I put him in the conversation with Max Holloway, with Volkanovski, with Oliveira. And Topuria was like, child, please. He basically told her with all disrespect, he was trying to let her know what you said was silly, woman. Dustin Gaethje? If we're gonna put Max Holloway in his prime because he put some muscle on and beat Dustin Gaethje, there's nothing more that we have to talk about. Oliveira, I already let you know I was an Oliveira fan. I predicted that he would take the throne after Khabib left, that he would have a nice reign. But even during that time, Oliveira was already past his prime. Young Oliveira, sick fool. He was already past his prime by the time he ever held the strap. He was beating Khabib's leftovers. He was beating fools that were already washed up from Bellator. All the dudes were cans. That's just how it goes. And you were all saying the same thing. You were all saying the same thing until it didn't fit your narrative. Now that it's making the new golden boy, look like he's not what you want him to be right now it doesn't fit your narrative. And I'm just speaking the truth because I could say all of these things. You know what I almost did earlier? And I'm going to do it when my Patreon comes through. You know what I almost did? I was going to buy a Topuria shirt. I'm telling you, I'm a fan. I bought the shirt. I will buy the shirt. I haven't bought it yet. I could say all those things to you as a Topuria fan. How's that for objectivity? I'm not a Topuria hater. I'm just too truthful for my own good. Topuria has not faced anybody in their prime. Not even close. And people it's like they don't, I don't know if there's a language barrier. I don't know if I got a bunch of people from Spain or what, watching and there's something lost in translation. I don't understand if they're not listening to every point that I'm making. I saw some people in the comments saying, oh, they immediately became past their prime the moment he knocked them out, huh? No. And I said in the last video, and you could look through the records, you could look at how the fights played out. Even when they won in impressive fashion, you have to consider who they won against and who those guys have won and lost against recently. There's a lot to consider. Max Holloway's prime was 2018 through 2021. That was the blessed era. now we're in the stressed era. Volkanovski's prime was from 2019 to 2023. He left his prime in the cage with Makhachev. And yes, he won that first fight. And no, it wasn't just because of the last round. As I've heard some people say, no, I don't get swayed away by the excitement of the final seconds before the buzzer. It's because he won, and that's it. And I could say all of these things and still be a fan of Topuria. But it's just the truth. Now, somebody asked me earlier, like I said, if he fights Arman, if fights Makhachev, will you give him the respect? Sure. But if we're going to be hyping up Topuria the way that we have been the last several days, then you better be some big Jake Paul fans. You better be some... Ilia Topuria is as much of a legend killer as Jake Paul is. And I touched on that in my last video. Legend killer has a negative connotation. The term legend killer itself is negative. It implies that you're beating dudes that have been fighting long enough and are already established enough that they put that time in. They've been there. They're probably kind of older now. They're not an up and coming, fast, strong prospect. If they're already being called a legend, they're probably not right in the peak of their prime. And they haven't been. Arman, same age as Topuria. Paddy, 2 years older. Makhachev, about 5 years older. They're going to have to be very careful about how they pick and choose what comes next. But if you're going to be hyping them up the way that you have been, because you could be a fan. You could like Topuria like I do, yet not resort to that foolishness. If you're going to hype them up the way that you have, it better be a double order. You better be placing the order for that Jake Paul shirt as well. Because they're doing the same thing. They're fighting old dudes that are legends that are past their prime. They are both legend killers. Now, I think it's very interesting and pretty disrespectful that the UFC has now listed and ranked Makhachev as the number 2, or was it number 1? Whatever. They listed him in the rankings right below Topuria in the lightweight division, which is very interesting and very disrespectful. Because Makhachev decided to vacate and go to welterweight. This could be nothing other than the UFC trying to bait Makhachev, trying to upset and frustrate him and take his focus off of JDM, trying to lure him back to the lightweight division, because Dana does not want people to keep hopping around and embarrassing his divisions, because right now the featherweight division is an embarrassment. Another thing I've had people saying, how could you call... People have actually been saying, how could you call Volkanovski past his prime? He's the champion. Topuria got up, pushed his seat in, and walked away from the buffet. And he said, hey, fool, I got some food left on this plate. You want it? And Volkanovski said, please, sir, I want some more. Please, let me have it all. That's Volkanovski's bout right now. Topuria pushed it in, buckled his pants back up, said, I've already had too much. I'm leaving. Do you want my leftovers? You want my seconds? And Volkanovski said, yes, please. That's the state of the featherweight division right now. That's the champion. Lightweight division, Makhachev decided he's going to go up. He's done with it. He proved what he needed to. And now UFC saying, how about if we disrespect you real quick? How about if we don't put you anywhere in the welterweight and we just leave you right here in the lightweight? Even though we're going to let you go fight for a title. Because people could say, well, of course he's not in the rankings. He hasn't even fought yet. That's not... but he could go straight to the top and fight for a title. He could get that fast pass. He could get on his little scooter because he's handicapped via obesity, go right to the top, but they're going to rank him in the lightweight. Did anybody notice that? That could be nothing more than Dana White not wanting to have embarrassments for divisions. And you already know that Topuria is more than willing to hop around. Topuria will go wherever he needs to, so Dana White has to play some mind games with Makhachev. Topuria was talking about it in that podcast about last fight or whatever, where he was like, I told them I wouldn't go to welterweight right away. He wants to go wherever he needs to go to prove his legend status. He got the featherweight strap. He has the lightweight strap. He's willing to go up and get the welterweight strap. I could see a case for him going to middleweight. I could see with the streak that Adesanya has had. I could see Adesanya calling him out to try to get vengeance for Volkanovski in a super fight. Catchweight. That is definitely not below Adesanya. And Topuria is already, unofficially, the uncrowned, bantamweight champ. He basically TKO'd Merab. He basically TKO'd him in practice. Merab says, I won't even spar with him anymore. He dropped me twice with body shots. Topuria has allegedly TKO'd the champion on multiple occasions. He says, I won't even fight him anymore. Take the cameras out the dojo. Sean O'Malley says, I'm glad that he didn't take me up on my call out. Sean O'Malley doesn't want none of it either. So basically, Topuria has the featherweight division, the lightweight division. He could go up and get the welterweight division. Adesanya might meet him at the middleweight division. And he basically has the bantamweight division. This is not good for the UFC. And Topuria is kind of doing what I've been saying should happen for years. Forget the weight classes. They didn't do it back in the 1990s. Why do they got to do it now? Why did everyone have to go so soft? And if we're going to be honest, if we're going to be objective, and again, I'm not being a hater, Topuria is not someone that likes to make weight. In case you forgot. And I'll give MMA Joey all the credit. He has that beautiful video. Topuria missed weight. He got 155.5, and the dude off camera says he needs to be 155. And the guy was like, oh, my mistake. And then he's like, you said one. Oh, he is 155. I thought you meant, never mind. He missed weight. And it's not the first time. He missed weight when he was in another promotion too. This is a habit. He wanted to go up from featherweight saying, I can't do it anymore. I'm miserable. I become a different person. I'm mean. I'm not good to be around. I don't like it. I'm grouchy. He doesn't like it. Then he goes up, says it's amazing. This is so easy. I could do whatever I want. And he still misses weight because he was way too cavalier about it. And then he missed weight in another promotion. There's a habit here. Maybe this is some long play of him and Joe Rogan making this new promotion that they're talking about. No weight divisions, no weight cutting, no cages. It's an open field. That JRE podcast was actually pretty good. Makhachev is, I believe, 33 years old. Look, when you look at Paddy Pimblett and what him and Arman have done recently, you can make a case for either of them being next. Paddy Pimblett lost to Jared Gordon, and we all know that. And every other fight that he fights, it looks like he could have almost lost on several occasions and wins in a very sloppy or boring fashion. He gets hit in ugly, sloppy, lazy ways. And Arman hasn't really fought the most notable people. He barely got past Oliveira, a split decision. And no one else really noteworthy. And lost in a fight that he could have really proven himself with Gamrot. And lost to Makhachev. However, a lot of people, including the Wikipedia, state that Arman was Makhachev's absolute most difficult fight. So there's something there when it comes to if Topuria kind of wants to test the waters. Something that should be considered if Topuria goes up to welterweight and fights Makhachev first. Let me tell you something. As fight fans, we do not, and you got to stop voting on those YouTube polls because you're going to give the UFC the wrong idea. As fans, as fight fans, we collectively do not. As fight fans, we do not want Topuria to fight Makhachev next. Do you understand me? As fight fans, we do not want Topuria to fight Makhachev next. Do you understand why? Topuria doesn't play games. His yes means yes and his no means no. He's all about business and legacy. When they brought up Volkanovski to him, he's like, nah, I'm done. I'm not gonna do that to him again. I'm not interested. No. When they brought up Gaethje, he laughs. He knows what he wants and what makes sense, and he's not gonna settle for other things. When they were trying to grill him and ask if he even wanted a Conor fight, who's gonna say no to a Conor fight? Even Arman wouldn't back out. Even Arman wouldn't find a way to back out of a Conor fight. When they brought it up to him, he's like, at first he said no, like, no, why would I want that? And then they kind of had to keep coaxing him, and he's like, I guess I'd fight him, yeah, whatever. Even a Conor fight didn't appeal to him. It didn't make sense on paper to him. He's very practical. If he goes up and fights Makhachev at welterweight, there is absolutely no incentive for him to ever come back down and fight Paddy Pimblett or Arman. We do not want this as fight fans. Stop talking about it. Stop saying it. Stop influencing Dana White. You do not want him to fight Makhachev next. We won't get the most out of him that way. Which, again, is interesting because I think obviously Dana feels the same way, and that's why he's trying to bait Makhachev to come back by ranking him where he is in the lightweight division, so Makhachev could be like, hey, fool, wait a minute, why are you putting me down there? It makes it look like I'm below Topuria when I'm over here trying to fight JDM, and I got to go back and let him know real quick, and then boom, 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 boom. And now, if he wanted to, Topuria could still go up and fight at welterweight, but he doesn't have to do that either now. It makes the most sense. It makes the most sense if Topuria fights Paddy first. I believe that the case could be made that Arman deserves it more based on how his fights have gone and how he did against Makhachev. Paddy fights very sloppy, and almost every fight he wins, he's like Ian Gary. He'll raise his hand, but everyone's still clowning on him after the fight because of how it went down. However, have you noticed that even though this is the case and it makes more sense on paper with Arman and he's more technical and it'd probably be a better and more competitive fight, people want to see it with Paddy more. Why? Because it's sports entertainment. Because we're watching an offshoot of the WWE right now. We want to see these rivals that can't stand each other go toe to toe. And then we'll get the fight for the Puritans. Then we'll get the technical match. We got to see him take Paddy first. And I don't think there's anybody who believes that Paddy could get through Arman. It wouldn't make sense for Topuria to fight Arman and then go down to Paddy. He has to do the big fight. Arman's not the money fight. Is he better? Yeah. More technical? More of a threat? Yeah. But that's not the money fight. The money fight rarely is that. The money fight rarely is the technical, more pure form, more chess match. It's about the drama. It's about the chismes. Topuria has to fight Paddy first. Let Gaethje fight Arman. Gaethje, you shouldn't have been a company man. You can't come crying now because you shook that hand or whatever it was under the table. Don't be shaking nothing under the table because all they're going to do is suicide you later. That's how it goes. You start shaking stuff under tables, leaving paper trails, you're gonna get suicided. You're not gonna get your back rubbed after that. You can't do that in the first place. You can't come crying now that you helped them and that they should come back. That's not how it works in the real world. It's just business. It's gotta be Patty. And then it's gotta be Arman right after. They're both younger. If Tapuera were to fight Makhachev first, who knows how long it's gonna be before he fights Patty and Arman, and then people are gonna complain that they're past their primes now, that they're too old. And if he takes too long fighting both of these and they really get stretched out, Makhachev's gonna be 36, 37 by the time Tapuera fights him, and they're gonna say Makhachev was too old. This all has to be done with beautiful, perfect timing. Boom, boom, boom. But we have to pass on the Makhachev fight right now. And they're trying to bait him, but it's not the move. You guys got to stop talking about Makhachev. I'm not a Tapuera hater. But I am an MMA truther. And Tapuera has not yet fought anybody in their prime. Therefore, at the moment, he is a lateral Jake Paul. He is the Jake Paul of MMA, which is fine, which is a compliment. Jake Paul was making little TikToks, and now he's a professional boxer about to fight for a title. What have you done in the last few years? I forgot what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought because I made such a good point right there. I felt like this is a mic drop. I should end the video right here. But I would like to tell you, even though I'm a Tapuera fan, I'm going to tell the truth no matter what. And he just hasn't done it yet. He hasn't done what you are claiming that he has. And if and when he beats Patty, no. That'll be fun. But no, not yet. That'll be like if he beats Gaethje. When he beats Arman and Makhachev, now we could start putting those kind of terms on him that you guys have been throwing around so loosely. However, you really think he could be Makhachev?